In its day, IBM was the place to work in Endicott, growing alongside Endicott Johnson, which set the standard for taking care of its workers. As news broke about a spill and later even more hidden contamination on the IBM campus, the scene there forever changed. Decades later, the cleanup efforts still aren't over, and it continues to wreak havoc on those who've lived it since the beginning. Tonight, we're digging deeper.
Never going to be the same as when IBM was here and we had 40,000 people standing in front of the plant.
The village of Endicott, once coined the birthplace of IBM, is still haunted by the company's industrial past.
It's like a scar. It doesn't go away. You know, I mean, you can do all you want, but the fact that it happened, it happened.
Endicott Mayor John Bertoni says no one really knew the risk until it was too late.
It was a spill. We didn't realize the magnitude to which it would seep and seek its own path and have ramifications.
The Department of Environmental Conservation reports the spill on the IBM campus happened back in 1979. Broome County historian Roger Luther says Endicott was booming.
Business in general, not just IBM, but in this whole area, grew real fast, exponentially.
Now, 40 years later, it's a different scene. The former IBM campus is a Class 2 Superfund site.
That's defined as a site which poses a significant threat to public health or the environment, and action is required. And in the years since, we've taken that action.
DEC Director of Environmental Remediation Mike Ryan says they're still cleaning up.
We have contamination here in soil and groundwater, both shallow groundwater and bedrock groundwater, over a large area.
It's left many wondering,
where does this end? Where does it begin? Where does it stand now?
For former IBM employee Mark Bacon, it's far from over.
All the chemicals are underneath my building. And I'm still here 20 years later, and I still have the same problem.
He lives along North Street, where this DEC map shows pools of contamination still exist. Bacon bought this property 2 decades ago, not knowing what was underneath. He poured his life savings into a building he hasn't been able to sell.
I'm broke, you know, and the part that really makes me mad is I have to pay taxes on this to live on a contaminated place.
For the past 4 decades, the DEC has been working with IBM to remove the dangerous chemicals.
It's the largest response action that we had relative to mitigation.
Not realizing until decades after the spill, the contaminants could rise into the air and people's homes. It's called soil vapor intrusion. According to the DEC, the main chemical of concern at the site is TCE. The state health department reports exposure over long periods of time is linked to serious health effects, even cancer. For Bacon, it's left him living in fear. What were you most scared of at the time?
Getting cancer. I want it out of here bad.
He relies on this mitigation system installed by the DEC to help remove the contaminants from the air. Still,
the stress of waking up at night and just wanting to cry because you're stuck.
And he's not the only one.
I understand where these people are coming from, and they should be angry. It was a big hit for Endicott.
The village has yet to recover from that hit, struggling to bring business back once IBM up and left.
It's been a tough sell. There's no question about that.
What was the heart of Endicott?
At the time, it was just a wonderful place to work.
IBM is now responsible for cleanup efforts, and more work and monitoring still needs to be done.
We hold polluters accountable.
We reached out to IBM, and the company hasn't returned our phone calls or emails. The DEC says IBM is cooperating and funding the continued cleanup. Not enough, Bacon says, who still struggles to understand how his world could come crumbling down around him.
I used to think IBM was the best company, was proud when I got a job with them, and I could never believe that they would leave me here for 20 years on top of ground zero.
Now you can see here how much the contamination has shrunk over time. This was the site in 2004 and this here is this year. The DEC tells me the contaminant levels are monitored and cleanup continues. Ryan hopes to lower the site to Class 4 in the future, meaning the majority of the contamination would be cleaned up and monitoring would be ongoing.